So today's video, it's actually coming from frustration and bear with me, be patient. It started with an article that I had read regarding just job interviews and things like that. And I started thinking about some of the bad interviews that I've had. Now, I will ask you, please tell me your stories, post them in the comment section below. I want to hear some of the insanity everyone has gone through. But with me, it just started with I started thinking it was just some weird interviews. Like I remember one guy seemed to be combative, and he would ask questions like, "So what do you like?" He had a got you moment, and I just remained calm. It was you know several people were there, let's say, and I remember one question was, well, we have the tri-state area included. I forgot. I even forgot Memphis. So it was part of Tennessee and that whole tri-state area. He goes, we got 1 million people here. So what about the traffic? I'm like, I'm from Miami. We have 4 million plus people there. Who knows what we really have? That 1 million, seriously, that's like a small town for me. So then he started with the questioning because he kept going back to that. You're not published. And I said, no, I'm not. So he goes, but you have to be published. I said, okay, I'll get published. Okay, but you have to get published. It really became one of these issues. So I'm just rolling my eyes, and this was done remotely. And I go, I'll get published. It's not a big deal. Now, that's easier said than done. I think there was some sort of arrogance on my part to say it that way. But anyway, he says, well, why aren't you not published? I said, because I'm a lawyer. I'm busy. I have clients to deal with. So should I write something and not get paid for it and ignore my clients? I gotta, I have clients. Those are the ones that pay me. I'm not going to be focusing on whatever article you want me to write for the Florida bar. So anyway, I guess that was the one that triggered him. I'm assuming he's the reason I didn't get the job. But this was at a time where I was looking for employment with universities, and I was applying to a lot of places. And so I would talk to my wife and say, "This is horrible. This takes forever. It takes like 1 hour to actually complete an application." You always have that, you can populate from the resume into their system. That never works. So you have to go there and start little by little editing everything. Everybody wants something different. So you have to adjust things here and there. And at the end, I wouldn't get the call back. And I'm thinking, who was more qualified than me? So I hated applying to places, especially that they didn't even have the salary. So sometimes I would pursue, and say, how much is this getting? Why am I going to spend an hour doing this? By the way, some people nowadays want you to make videos as well with your application. So more time's invested, and they still haven't posted the salary, which I don't understand. Why not just post the salary to get rid of the people who say, sorry, I can't do it? If I'm going to be applying for a job, even out of town, what's the housing like? How much is it to buy a house there? Can I buy a similar property with the same amount of land? What is that going to cost? So, you could tell me we're paying you 150,000, but if 1 acre is half a million, then I have to skip that one. So I don't know why they don't post. I don't understand what the big mystery is. But then chasing someone down to give you that information, you might as well send a letter to the White House. You're going to get a quicker response. But that guy that started with the issue of you're not published, I said I'll get published. So when COVID came around, I was bored, and I said I'll go get published, and I did. My bankruptcy law textbook was published. Now it's not that easy. Again, that must have been an arrogant thought that crossed my mind because it's not like you could just magically get published. But all the stars aligned, and it worked for me. So I always thought of sending that guy a copy, but I didn't even know who he was. This was, a year later, but I was always very tempted. I'm going to admit, this is, some little revenge and send it to him. But all this stems from this article that I had read. Just think about the insanity of just applying randomly and whatever. So the article that I read was now AI is looking at resumes. And so it's saying if certain the algorithms are, programmed for this or that. So you might apply and then be in a situation like me thinking, why wouldn't I at least get a call? Why am I getting a general rejection? I don't understand because some of these jobs were, I'm not even going to say overqualified. It's just clearly that I was qualified. I'm like, I don't even get an interview. They reject me. I just found it odd. So now, of course, AI is more popular now than it was when I was applying a few years ago. But if I was to apply now or you, that might be the reason why these your resumes are not being they're being rejected, or they're not even being read by a human. I mean, think about that. So I do know that eventually someone will create software that will apply for you. So I don't even know. It's like the blind leading the blind at that point. But I know that because obviously it's a logical conclusion. But I read someone created a software for himself where he applied to something ridiculous like 1,200 jobs in a matter of few hours while he was sleeping. But I mean, then you can see the issue with that. But of course, now that I looked at this, what does my web browser do with all the cookies? It starts sending me all these articles related to this issue. So the issue I found out now, besides the AI issue, which I think is crazy, and my own personal issues of why aren't you guys not advertising what the salary is? I mean, at least that's common when it comes to faculty and professors that they don't publish. I would tell you 99 out of 100 job postings don't even list that information. But here's where it gets better. Let me look down here to make sure that I get this I get this correctly. Yes, this was the part that I was missing. A lot of job postings are BS. Yeah, yeah. What happened was one person was talking to a headhunter, and the headhunter says, "Oh, I just post that to make people call, and then I have their information." But some companies actually post that there's a job when the job doesn't exist, and these numbers seem to go as high as 20%. So with 20% of the time, think about it. You send out, 10 applications, two of them are to a non existent job. And it's either that company, some of the things that employers said was, we want to give the appearance of growth. Others were saying, we just want the employees to keep them on their toes, thinking, you might lose your job now, any minute, you might get replaced. And other people just collecting your information. Think about how effed up that is. I mean, if you put in, and this is why it's demoralizing. If you put in all the time and effort, like I said, 1 hour, if I apply to any university, I see postings all the time. If I don't see specifics, I just tend to delete it and move on because it's like I'm not going to spend an hour. And I've seen people post like on LinkedIn saying they want a 10-minute presentation, they want this, and when that person wrote that long list of stuff, I was saying, this is crazy, and this is just a maybe get your foot through the door. And again, a lot of times, a lot of you, I'm sure, in that position are saying, why didn't I get a call back on this? Now it could be AI. So I only say this because remember, everything I do is debt related, personal finance, and stuff like that. And you got to beat the system. I don't know what that means. Now I'm thinking, what does it mean to create a resume that's going to, get AI all excited and their algorithms and say, this is the guy that you want to interview? I don't know. But it's like I always keep saying, do your research, be prepared, have this knowledge to make sure that you are prepared. If you're looking for another job or you don't have a job, then understand you're going to go through those same frustrations, like I said, like I did, where I remember at some point, my wife asked me, how many applications have you done? I go, more than 100. And you can easily assume that most of them are going to be 30 minutes on the low end, if not 1 hour on the high end. And by the way, you have to create passwords right for each and every one of these things, given all your information. Here's my email, here's my address, to then finally be able to upload your resume, which again, the information never gets transferred correctly. So do think about that. There is going to be frustration. Maybe 20% of the jobs that you apply to don't even exist, which is I don't even know why they would do that. That's just horrible. I don't think that proves anything to employees. That's my thinking, but if that's what these employers do, what can you do? But keep that in mind. If AI is now looking at your resumes, what do you got to do to stand out? Obviously, use AI to prepare your resume and everything else, and take it from there. It's probably a good idea. I'm probably going to have to submit my resume to AI and see what it comes back with. All right. So let me know what you think of all these issues. If you have any horror stories with these interviews, let me know. Oh, actually, let me talk about one more. There was two interviews I want to talk about. One was the person tells me halfway through what we pay. This was a well-known paralegal program. So I said, okay, this is a good way for me to, push my book, which is Bankruptcy Law, designed for paralegals. She said $12 an hour. And I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, I kept professional about it, but I was like, this is insane that you're expecting lawyers for $12 an hour to teach these paralegal. There's just no rationale behind that. I could go anywhere else, not have any stress, and make more money. And we all want to have more money and less stress. So whatever to them. I can't imagine it's working out for them. But the other one was just another jerk. I have to say it that way, where he asked me some question and I was like, what? And he repeated it. And I said, I don't know, whatever the policy is of the university, that's what I'll do. I'll just follow the guidelines, follow the policy and the employee handbook. I had no idea what this guy was talking about. The person in charge, whatever, committee chair, whatever, said he was referring to some specific rule, administrative rule in the state or something like that. Has nothing to do with me applying as a teacher. Had nothing to do with it. I'm sure 99% of the teachers don't even know about this rule. But that's one of those jerks that, I had to deal with. So it was just 3 horror stories there that I have. Realistically, I've been hired before by universities. They never interviewed me. They literally called me to just say, do you want the job or not? And those were the universities where I've had the most fun. I've enjoyed working for them, had great students and everything else. Everyone else, with these complicated interviews you surprise out of the 100, I don't even know how many interviews I maybe 3 I had. Think about those numbers. Those numbers are somewhat absurd, especially if you're applying for a job you're qualified for. But it is what it is. All right. So keep that in mind. Concern yourself with the AI issue, which is an issue. Eventually, I guess I'll focus on that too in future posts when it comes to personal finance. But just keep that in mind, this AI issue and resumes, and trying to get those algorithms to pick your resume out over everyone else. All right. Take care, everybody. If you're job hunting, good luck. If you have a job and you're looking for another job, good luck. And I hope you continue towards that path of your debt-free journey.